Hey guys, if you're new here, I am Anna, I am Russian and I can speak 4 languages including my mother tongue, Russian, and 3 foreign languages. It's obviously English, it's French, and it's Chinese. 尽管我从来没住在中国，但是我会说中文。Je parle français pas si couramment qu'anglais, mais un jour ou l'autre, j'y arriverai. J'espère. Je rigole. In this video, I'm gonna share with you my tips and advice that can help you to reach the fluency in foreign languages. And in the first part of this video, I'm gonna be talking about the principles and the techniques that I've been following while learning all of these languages. And in the second part of this video, I'm going to share with you my personal experience, how and where did I learn all of these languages, how long did it take me to be able to speak finally. And yeah, I hope that this video might be helpful for you if you're learning a foreign language, or at least it will be interesting for you. So let's get started. Okay, 3 main principles and 1 additional that I'm going to be sharing right now. The first is you need to understand why do you need to learn this language. It's either, I don't know, the goal to move to a foreign country, or I don't know, probably you've fallen in love with someone from this country and you want to speak this language, or you want to speak this language because you want to find a job in this country on the company where they speak this particular language. So the goal should be very touchable and should be very real, and you need to feel it. For example, I don't know, for me, when I first realized why do I need to learn English, for example, I was privileged to go abroad when I was a teenager to England, and there I understood how cool it is when people from the other country understand you. And when I came back, I don't know, it changed my mind completely, and I've started to learn English even harder than I did before, even though I was really good in English at school. But yeah, this kind of motivation pushed me to learn more. So your goal should be very visible, touchable, and if you have the chance to try it, then do it. The second is consistency. The key point here is to learn the language every day, at least for, I don't know, 15 minutes. The more time you can sacrifice per day, the better. But the key point here is not to stop and keep learning, keep going. In the second part of this video, I'm gonna share with you my personal experience so understand why it took me more time to learn French, for example, because I wasn't consistent in this language. And the third idea here is to practice. Practice in reality, in real life. Go abroad, find a language partner online or in the city where you live, and practice. Don't be afraid to make the mistakes. I still do. I think like I'm very fluent in English, but I still make mistakes, and I'm really happy when somebody corrects me, and that's okay. That's normal to make mistakes, and by making the mistakes you learn a lot. And the fourth thing, which is kind of optional, which was in my story with Chinese and English but wasn't really with French, is teaching. Teaching really helps you to better understand the grammar and be very fluent in expressing your thoughts. From my personal experience, I started teaching English when I was at the university on my first year, and I think that's why I'm kind of fluent in English right now, and my grammar is good. The same is with Chinese. I've started teaching Chinese in my 3rd year when I was junior. And it helped me also to learn the language, because when you teach, you repeat the same things again and again, and you need to better understand than than your student what you're teaching. And it didn't happen to me with French. And that's why my grammar in French is shitty. I can't speak. It's easy for me to speak, so I can express my thoughts. I even passed the B2 DELF exam with very high score, and I think like my writing was like 19 out of 20 points. But I know that my grammar is very, very bad here in French. And I think that's because I didn't really teach it to anyone else. And probably probably I will do it one day. I don't know. And with teaching, the key point here is you don't need to have the high level of the language to be able to teach it to somebody else. Let's say you have the A2, better to have like, okay, B1 level of English, and you can teach English to people who just started learning English. Why not? You already know the tenses that these people need to know. And yeah, the same is with Chinese. On my third year, I wasn't really fluent in Chinese, but I could teach it to somebody else who just started. And that's a really cool thing. Don't be afraid of it. I know that you always have this imposter syndrome. I did have it as well, but somehow you need to overcome this kind of thing that, oh no, I'm not very professional in that. No, you are. You can say something. You are able to express your thoughts, not as fluent as you want, but you at least can communicate, and so you can spread this knowledge to somebody else. And as for the techniques that you can use while learning the languages that can help you to reach the fluency, the first is try to integrate the language in your life. For example, I like music, and I really love the songs in English, and that helped me to better learn and understand English, and probably even acquire this accent that I have right now, because I've been listening to the same song again and again, and I translated all of the songs that I liked. I was really fan of music. I watched musicals, I don't know, shows like The Voice or X Factor, and I tried to learn all of these words because I really wanted to understand what people are singing in these songs. This might help if you are a fan of, right now, YouTube. Personally, I watch a lot of videos on YouTube in English, in French, in Chinese. I watch the videos in other social media, TikTok, Chinese TikTok, Douyin, and sometimes my friends send me some funny stuff in Chinese. So it's like blogging. Choose the topic that you like, what you watch, what you read in your native language, and apply these things into a foreign language. If you're really interested in the information you consume, why it wouldn't be interesting in the foreign language? And thus will help you not only to kind of have fun, but also to learn the language that you're learning. Instagram, podcasts, I don't know, anything that, as long as you are interested in it. Because if you don't take pleasure from what you're doing, that in the long term that will not work, and so you will not have this kind of second key point in learning language, the consistency. The second technique that will help you to overcome the language barrier, and it's kind of obvious, is to practice it with a native speaker. Sometimes people get discouraged because, okay, how can I practice with a native speaker when I'm not living in this country? You can. I'm not from Moscow. I was born in a kind of small city close to Moscow, and even there we had Americans who organized English clubs, and but not many people attended these meetings, you know. And if you live in a big city, there are more chances that you have such events, so Google that. I'm sure you'll find some Facebook pages related to that. I know in Moscow we have French speaking club, Spanish speaking club, I'm sure German, and of course English. But not so many people attend these meetings, even though they are very, like, kind of, the fee is just nothing, like, I don't know, less than a cup of coffee. And if you don't have such an event, online event or live event, you can organize it yourself. Find people who are interested in this particular language. that's what I did with French. I was really missing the absence of practicing French in Moscow. And so I decided to invite some of my French friends and my Russian friends who learn French, and decided to organize Zoom meetings, and what we've been having for the last 6 months, or even more. I think I started in summer. Yeah, and or you can find somebody else to practice, like, I don't know, pen pal friend, and if you have like a common interest, you can ask this person to have a Zoom, Skype call, or send audio, video messages to each other, and I'm sure that will really help you to practice, and you will see this kind of, you will touch the language. That will help you with the first key point that I introduced you today. It's the why do you learn? This feeling is amazing when you're finally able to express your thoughts in a foreign language. Well, and the last technique that I wanted to share with you today, it might be boring for somebody else, but this definitely helped me with French. And I just simply took, it was either a podcast or a YouTube video. Most of the time it was the YouTube videos from famous bloggers or speakers in TED Talks, which had French subtitles that I could translate if I don't understand. And I simply kind of watched these videos. Then I understood like 80%, I think, of these videos. Then I would translate the words that I didn't get, learned them, and keep repeating with the speaker, with the same pace, with the same intonation. And that will definitely help, I think, for me with the accent, with English and French. And so I kept repeating, I don't know how many times, as much as I could, at least I think 10. And then I tried to, and after repeating so many times, you kind of remember the patterns that you have. And sometimes I don't really know why do I know this phrase, why do I say like that. It just comes up from my mind naturally. I don't think of the phrase, the construction of the phrase, I just say it, and that's it. So guys, the second part of the video, how did I learn 3 foreign languages? My personal experience. I think I've kind of shared some of the parts for you, but I want to tell you shortly the whole story. My first foreign language is English. I started learning it at school when I was 7 years old, and I was kind of privileged in my town to go to the school where we specialized in languages. But you know, in school you don't really understand the meaning why you learn. You just learn, and teachers ask you something, and I wanted to have good grades. I had them, but it doesn't mean that every person who learned English in my school can speak English now. But I was lucky, I admit it. I was also lucky to go abroad when I was a teenager. I've already told you, and this experience gave me the understanding, the final understanding, why do I learn English? And then I entered the university, and there I was a volunteer in different projects and different events, and we had foreigners come into our university, and for me it was fascinating communicating with them. It was so cool, so fun. But then I also learned Chinese at the university. It's my major, Asian Studies and Chinese language. And the thing is that with Chinese, I learned it so hard every day, every single day, that I started forgetting English. When you start learning the language, this kind of basic grammar words comes up to your mind first of the language what you learn. And so that's why I decided to keep learning English and Chinese. Somehow I got to the point when I didn't mix these languages, and it was really easy because these 2 languages are very different, so there was no problem not to mix them. But just sometimes I don't know, the pronouns came up to my mind from Chinese first and then in English. But with the practice, it just kind of blown away, and it was okay. Also, by that time, I started teaching English, so basic grammar was so solid inside of me. So that's why I think I can't forget English forever right now. The same is for Chinese. The basic grammar is so strong. I haven't practiced Chinese for like really practice. I mean, in China or with native speakers for about like 6 months, I guess. But recently, one of my friends asked me to teach her Chinese, and I was totally okay for me, even like for intermediate Chinese. So, and with the French, this is kind of very interesting story because I learned a little bit of French at school when I was in my last years of school, and then I learned a little bit at the university in my first year. And then I traveled to France. I thought, oh my gosh, I really want to speak French. And then I had some French friends and I tried to kind of practice with them, but it didn't really help until I got enrolled in the Erasmus program, a semester in France, in Paris. And I was so happy, and in 3 months, I think I reached kind of the level from A1 to B1. Or even B2. Yeah, I subscribed to the B2 level at the university, and I was kind of the worst student in the group, but it was cool for me that we talked. In B1 level, they didn't really talk, and so that's why I decided to stay in the group of B2, even though for me it was really hard. And then I came back and I didn't practice. So you see, I didn't have the consistency in learning French. With Chinese, it was the contrary. Even though I didn't have the real practice in China, at the beginning of the video I said in Chinese that I've never lived in China. I traveled, but I never lived. So without the practice with Chinese, I still had lectures at the university almost every day. So it was okay with Chinese. But with French, I kind of learned and stopped, learn and stop, learn and stop. And so I've never reached this kind of level when I can freely speak. And then I also had the opportunity to go to France for an amazing experience in Fortitude School. It's a programming school. Who doesn't know, you can Google it. I have also another channel where I share this experience. I'll put the links down below this video. And I was in France for 1 month. And that time, the thing is that the group of people who I communicated with, some of them, they didn't speak English at all. So I was obliged to speak French with them. And so that's why I think I finally, in that time, was able to speak French. And that was really fascinating, and I try to keep this level right now by organizing the French club. I don't want to lose this level, so I constantly watch YouTube or read book, articles, listen to podcasts, and I hope that the next time I go to France, I will study more before this trip and be able to speak even better. As I told in the beginning of the video in French. So this is, long story short, about on my experience. Also, yeah, I forgot to mention with Chinese, I also had this situation when I was forced to speak Chinese. I had a 1 month internship in a Chinese company with a Chinese director, and I was the assistant of the director of the company, and she didn't speak neither Russian nor English nor other languages except Chinese. And so I was forced to speak Chinese with her. And so by that time, I think I've improved my Chinese a lot. That's pretty much it for this video. Thank you very much for watching it. I hope it was useful or at least interesting. If you have any advice, tips, principles that you are following and learning a foreign language, leave it in a comment. I think it will be interesting for everyone to read. And once again, thank you, and see you in the next video. Bye bye. Пока-пока.